Greetings, greetings, greetings. Come on in the house. Welcome home. Come on in the house. Welcome home. I am so glad you are here on this podcast from destruction to dignity, clinical perspectives, spiritual truths. My name is Janice Pons. I am the host of this amazing podcast. Why do I say it's amazing? Because I'm having a good time. I've just been having fun. I love the production team. I love what God is doing. I love what God is doing in us and through us, and we show up and we avail ourselves to what He wants to talk about. And there's so many things to talk about. I tell you, thank you, Kevin Collier on the Creative Motion Television Network on Roku, where the podcast is number one in the category of outreach series. I'm grateful for that. So we brought up that visual from time to time, and we give God all the glory, honor, and praise for that. And he told me, he says, since the podcast has been on, in let me see, we started in February of 2021. He said it's consistently always been in the top 20. I am grateful for that. And it has been in the top 10 a lot as well. So grateful because he said you definitely have a consistent listening audience. So, hi, listening audience. So glad to have you here. God bless you wherever you are. I'm so appreciative of you taking the time to listen to this podcast because, as you know, I want to provoke thought, bring awareness, and point people towards intervention if they decide that they need it. Clinical perspectives, spiritual truths, from destruction to dignity. Clinical perspectives, spiritual truths. Speaking of which, we're going to dive into something tonight that is very, very serious. With the start of the school year, there are a lot of dynamics that are going on related to students going back to school. Listen, over the last 2 years, with COVID turning the world upside down, with this diabolical plan that attacked our nation, it had a very specifically devastating effect upon a lot of students who are going to school. And just in general, the population there, I'm going to give some data here. And speaking of data, I just want to go ahead and say this term here, fair use. Fair use. You know, there are certain topics. It's just fair use. It's out there on the internet to research, to so much that I come across my desk, so much that I just know as a result of being in behavioral health for 42 years. So fair use, okay? Because there are some interesting things that have happened to my videos. And so I just want to address that. And I think I'll always say that fair use. Yay. So there are some interesting things and dynamics that have taken place that are affecting our students. And we really need to be aware of the seriousness. There are some serious, specific issues that students are dealing with, and we're going to dive in because we've got a lot to cover tonight. This is a very serious podcast, very serious, and I want to encourage you to share it because it's school is started, and because we're concerned about our children and youth. I am very concerned about our children and youth. My work professionally as a teacher, school psychologist, licensed clinician. However, this podcast is all about education. This is for educational purposes. This is not therapy, educational purposes. Now, let's educate. We need to look at something together. Let's get educated together. There is a phenomenon going on. There is a trend that's going on that is resulting in some very serious outcomes that are very detrimental, very detrimental. And so there's a term that's going on in some school systems, and it's called back to school necklace. Do you have your back to school necklace? See, when we hear that back to school, do you have a back to school necklace? Have you made your back to school necklace? Are you making your back to school necklace? So, what is a back to school necklace? Sounds harmless, doesn't it? Well, it's very disturbing. It's a disturbing trend. Listen, I heard last week on TikTok they got some trend about kids, adolescents stealing cars and cars and seeing who can be the most reckless, and some have died. Do you see how the enemy is tricking people? He comes to kill, steal, and destroy, Jesus said in John chapter 10. Comes to the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Adolescents, youth are taking these daredevil kind of attempts at doing things that are costing them their lives. Let's look at this. This back to school necklace, what is it? It is a disturbing trend that parents need to know about. Now it sounds fun. Sounds like something some girls would get together and do for a little gathering where the girls hang out or guys get together, or something you do at a birthday party. Back to school necklace, but it has a truly dark explanation. I was looking at something, it was on Parade magazine, and there was a person named Kelsey Pelzer who had addressed this subject. And it's, if you just go out there and look about back to school necklace, how I came to know about it, I was getting a massage from my massage therapist, Jen Buchanan. I love Jen Buchanan. Bring her family picture up. That's my girl. And she is very involved in the Parent Teacher Association, the PTA. And what she see the intervention that she does, she's actively involved in her three boys. You see that beautiful family. Her husband, look at it, he's fine. And and those three boys, they're good looking boys. And Jen is just gorgeous, knockout gorgeous, excellent massage therapist. But she was the one who brought this up to me. And being a part of the PTA, she has privy to conversations and interactions that go on that parents need to know about. This is why we need to be involved as parents and adults and not be the ones that are sitting at home. And so she was instrumental in getting this circulated throughout the union school system in some shape, form, or fashion, because they needed to have parents informed about the back to school necklace. Sounds harmless. Well, it's not. So, see, when school starts, let's just dissect this a little bit. When school starts, that's a different time of the year. You know, we've been to the beach, we've had our summertime off. And so we're going to the store and we're shopping, we're getting things, we're getting school supplies. The children are excited, the parents are excited. And so when you hear the term back to school necklace, you know, you make jewelry, let's put on some earrings, let's put on a necklace. We got our own bracelets that we're making. Sounds like a cute piece of jewelry. It's not. It's not. It's not. So, do you realize this? That a back to school necklace is another name for a noose. NOOSE. This is due to the utter despair that a lot of students are feeling when they have to go back to school. School, I'll tell you, these students were at home during COVID, and there was a lot of despair that was created. So when you listen, I want you to hear these quotes. I'm about to buy my back to school necklace. I can't wait to get a back to school necklace. I've been thinking about that back to school necklace. These are the phrases that are permeating in certain school districts. That back to school necklace is calling me. You know, these kids today, they'll say these different things. They have these little terminologies that relate to sex, and certain things mean oral sex, certain things mean same sex. They just have these terminologies that parents and adults need to be aware of. If we don't, sometimes we'll miss out on what's going on or what they are under pressure to do. So when they say something like, that back to school necklace is calling me, that means something. Or they will say, I can't wait to wear my back to school necklace. Listen, there are girls, there are people that talk about, they have competitions about cutting. I've worked with adolescents. I know how they think when their minds are under attack. So, guess what? It's a code for death by hanging. Death by hanging. Do you think that's important for us to know as adults, as parents, as educators, as ministers, as people in the church, as human beings? Death by hanging. A back to school necklace is a code word for a noose to promote death by hanging. See, I had said this before. I did a podcast and it was rated in the top 10 about what's going on with our youth regarding suicide. From 2000, and I've said this before, but it fits right in here. From 2000 to 2020, children between the ages of 10 and 12, suicide, where they completed, that's what they completed. Suicide quadrupled. In February of 2021, they analyzed data, and girls between the ages of 12 and 17, suicide attempts increased in this country by 50%. Those are alarming numbers, folk. Those are alarming numbers, and we need to be paying attention. They need us paying attention. Obviously, they aren't thinking right if they think that death by hanging is an option as a problem-solving skill. So if we are aware we're in a better position to help, we want to help. We want to help. So one very important thing, we've got to have conversations. We've got to have conversations with our youth, and that comes with relationships, because the enemy has them being real secretive about sex, secretive about getting high, secretive about stealing, secretive about cutting school, secretive. We're not going to tell, that's snitching. I've seen this in the Black community. They can know someone who's raping someone and won't say a mumbling word. Yeah, man, that's snitching. Yeah. So, what do we want to do? We want to engage our students in conversation. So you can start off by saying something like this. You know what? See, you want to have that relationship built. You got to build a relationship where you can talk to them about anything and they feel like they can talk to you about anything as well. So you may start a conversation off by saying something like, well, I heard about this thing called back to school necklaces. Do you know anything about that? You want them to tell you. Yeah, Mom. Oh, gosh. Yeah. I heard some kids talking about it the other day. That's the door. That's the door. Don't just blow them off. There should be a time of conversation and interaction when they come home every day. You want to build those relationships because you know why? You want them to share their thoughts and feelings. Parents should feel empowered to talk to their children about mental health in general. They should be empowered. A lot of cultures don't even go there. They don't even talk about addiction. They don't talk about mental health issues. They don't know what signs and symptoms of depression and anxiety are. They don't know what alcoholism is. Our next podcast, we're going to cover how do you identify if you're even maybe an alcoholic. It's not hard to become an alcoholic. We're going to deal with that. We need to be talking about that with our youth. So, one thing that helps children and youth to talk is when you share your own personal stories to some degree. Now, listen, that doesn't mean you're going to get in there and get into all the grueling details of if you were sexually molested and that type of thing. You might talk in generalities about things like that, like your boundaries were violated and that type of thing, and how you ended up getting help because you found out that it was okay to tell somebody. See, that's a principle. That's a principle. So personal stories like bullying. I dealt with bullying. Oh, Lord, have mercy. Them girls wore me out. They wore me out until I learned how to be a solution-focused problem solver and stop just letting them push me around. So that's a principle to share with you. What does that look like to be a solution-focused problem solver? What does it look like if you're dealing with bullying? How do you address it? How do you turn it around? I used bullying when I was a school psychologist. I used bullying behavior to have the most powerful groups, and those children became allies with each other. And coming against that foolishness that they're supposed to be beating each other up. Are you kidding me? No, we're turning that thing around. So children and youth need to know that it's okay to get professional help. Parents, parents and adults, you all know I'm a proponent of the therapeutic process. Parents and adults, pastors, deacons, ministers, church members, educators, everybody needs to know that it's okay to get mental health help. Do you know that so many students are dealing with dread? They dread going to school. They're fearful of going to school. You know why? Some of them are overwhelmed. They're just overwhelmed. It's a new experience. They're just tripped out with anxiety. Why? Because they're going to a new school. They are going to have a new teacher. And don't let a word get out about a teacher. They're hard. Or they're bullies. Well, there's some people that are educators that are bullies. There's some educators there that have an agenda. Come on. Y'all know what I'm talking about. While you talking about what you do at home sexually with some kindergartners, you are out of control, Mr. Educator, Miss Educator. There are teachers that are being called on the carpet about that stuff. That's not okay. That's a violation of boundaries. Actually, is downright abusive. There's no way to justify any student hearing about any of your personal life, and definitely not your personal sexual activity in the classroom, but it's going on. It has gone on. So you have a new school, new teacher, new schedule. Students have gone from a relaxed summer to a busy day. It can be stressful. And listen to this. I saw this data, and this really got my attention. More than 1 in 3 high school students have experienced persistent feelings of sadness or hopelessness in 2019. And it was a 40% increase since 2009. That's thought-provoking data. That has implications to me in my clinical mind. Now, COVID. You have boys and girls, teenagers who are now 13. When COVID started, they were 10. And they were on lockdown. Remember when parents, some of you parents are hearing this, adults, you remember it's like, what am I going to do? I got to go to work. What can I do? This is how they found out that inappropriate materials, students were being exposed to some inappropriate materials because they saw what teachers were saying to them on these computers to their children. And they were like, what in the world's going on? They woke up. These parents woke up and saw some things. So regular clubs, sports, socialization was obliterated. And then there were school shootings, the Texas school shooting, for example. All of that had an impact. So what are the warning signs? Warning signs that something is wrong. Listen, guys, we need to be paying attention to these students. There are signs that they can exhibit that there's a cry for help, where they're talking about these necklaces that you make, which is a noose, but they're also signs that we need to pay attention to. Don't just blow this stuff off. If they're spending time alone, if they're acting withdrawn, if they're irritable, if they're crying easily and often, they're very sensitive, oversensitive, they're sleeping more than usual, or they're having difficulty sleeping, loss of interest in things that they used to enjoy. It's like, what's going on? We need to be talking. We got to have that relationship so they feel open to just go there with us. Giving away belongings. Listen, that's a big one. I've worked with adolescents who had attempted suicide, giving away personal belongings, and just overall a change in behavior. You know what that says to me? We need to be paying attention. Now, I'm getting ready to go into an area. There'll be youth, they'll buck at you and get mad. But we need to be paying attention to what's going on with our children regarding texting and social media. And you know what that means? We need to be keyed into their electronic use. Oh, yeah. Monitoring apps. I see people give 1-year-olds a phone to get them to stop crying. And they're just having a fit and they give them a phone. And they're like, here's mine. Mine was turned out. They're just out of control. And they'll go, I'm like, oh my God. They're being groomed. Listen, all kind of sexual activity is going on those phones. You think we need to know that? You think we need to know what's going on? Students, from children to adolescents, they're giving these phones to 1-year-olds, 18-month-olds. They're becoming addicted to telephones. That's not good. That is not good. You may think that's okay. For that to be their babysitter, that's not good, okay? So back to school necklace. If you hear kids joking around about harming themselves or killing themselves, that's not okay. And it's not okay to ignore it. It's not okay to go, well, you know how they talk. Well, how do they talk? What are they saying? Listen, they should not feel ashamed to seek help. They should not. They should be like, wow, I'm overwhelmed. And moreover, if you hear someone who is overwhelmed, youth departments at churches need to be so tightly knit with each other as a social structure, as a spiritual support system, that they know the pulse beat of each other. They're to say, come on, let's go there. I've talked about the story of when I ran treatment facilities. It was like somebody was falling apart. I was like, hey, come on, John needs us right now. Everybody come and gather right here, right now. John, baby, what's going on? Talk to us. We are here for you. John, what do you mean you're here for me? Just what I said, precious. We are here for you. And all of a sudden, he starts putting a language to it. He starts going there, exploring his feelings, letting us know what's going on. Then you find out John was going to go relapse and maybe was going to go kill himself. All of a sudden, John's got a different perspective. Why? We gathered around, empowered him, and we were there talking about what you're feeling. What are you thinking? Let's go there. And get rid of this mess about we don't snitch. We ain't gonna talk about it. What do you mean we not talking about it? What do you mean we're not talking about it? We need to be talking about it. You can save lives by talking. I pay attention to people. I check in with people. I just check in. Anybody knows me in church, I'm checking in. Come here, Brianna. Give me a hug, girl. I love these women. I love Bianca and Brianna. I want to know. I don't want to be in their business because I'm really in the boundaries. I'm talking about boundaries. I've done a couple of podcasts about boundaries, but I want them to know I'm here for them. Miss Janice loves them. I care about these young women. There's nothing I wouldn't do for them. They got to know that. That's important for us to know that about each other. These youth need to know that. They run around here making some necklace, which means death by hanging. Are you kidding me? And no one knew? Huh? No one noticed any warning signs? And I've seen that later. Well, I remember, and they said, and I was wondering why they were isolated, why we weren't talking. We need to be paying attention to each other. I would much rather err on the side of caution than miss it. And I'll tell people, look, baby, I don't want to err. I don't want to miss it here because I'm concerned about you. I care about you. People aren't used to people talking to them like that. So we got to take it seriously. and address this. Address it with school staff. So, what do we need to do? What are the solutions? What are the solutions? The Center for Disease Control has recommended some things that parents can do. Number one, supervise your adolescents to facilitate healthy decision making. There's so many youth, they are raising themselves. No one has input in their lives. That's not good. They need to be supervised. They are not grown. Development. Listen, your brain is still developing up to the age of 25. Some people have different patterns of development. It may take longer. So you're going to let a 13, 14-year-old be on their own? That is not responsible behavior as adults, as parents, as teachers, as folk at church that we say we're supposed to love each other. And I do love you. I want to know what's going on to some degree, particularly to the point that you feel comfortable talking to me. I had someone to come up to me at church yesterday, and she just said, "Can I have a hug?" Of course you can. Come here. Come here. And when we were hugging, I said, "You feel that love, baby? Do you feel the love?" You're like, "Yes, I do. I feel it." And I said, "Well, right now, your brain is releasing oxytocin. What's that?" I said, we can, there's a study been done. We're supposed to get 8 to 10 hugs a day. Everybody's deprived. Yep. So we're all deprived. I believe in giving hugs. I'll come up to somebody if I'm close to them, I might kiss them on the cheek. Now that's somebody I'm close to. I'm not just gonna do that to anybody. I acknowledge people. I might say, "Can I have a hug?" And when they hold me, it's like, "Oh yeah, oxytocin, yay!" So we need to supervise our adolescents. We need to spend time with them, enjoying shared activities. Be purposeful, be intentional, and be involved with the school by either volunteering or communicating. Now, bring up Norma So Grateful McDaniel. This amazing woman who is a prayer warrior. She has started something called Prayer Before the Bell. This is an intervention. This woman, God has spoken to her heart. Listen, they've taken prayer out of school, but we can pray with them before they go to school. What kind of cartoons are they watching before they go to school? Why don't we just take that 5-10 minutes, no more than 15, that we're gonna join in with prayer before the schools? We got that up. You can see where you need to go on Facebook. It's on Facebook and YouTube. This is an intervention. She's gonna have prayer journals coming out where they'll write down scriptures. She's gonna teach them. Oh, I got chills right there. Glory to God. She's, she's going to teach them how to pray. She's going to teach them the word. We got to combat. She's going to teach them about the Dunamite drills. Come on. We got to combat and empower our children and youth that they're not alone. We got to let them know that they're empowered. They're powerhouses. And when this mess comes up about this necklace that you can make, it's about death by hanging. We have to be keyed in. We have to organize our students. How can we help them feel less overwhelmed? Get on that at 7:30 Monday through Friday, Central Standard Time, prayer before the bell. Let's start there. I see a prayer covering across this entire nation. All we got to do is go there. Go on there. Let's pray with her. God has put this on this woman's heart. Who gets up every morning to make sure she's praying with children before they go to school? Let's support her. Get on there and let's do that. And then we want to help to organize our children and their thoughts and their schedules. We want to help them go to the school and walk through their schedule. Give them empowerment with your support and let them know you're there. Make sure they get a good sleep, a good night's rest. Make sure they're eating healthy. And we have to empower them with knowledge. Empower them with knowledge. Empower them with knowledge, because knowledge is power. We have to impact our youth. Listen, the thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy, but Satan's a liar. He's a father of lies, and the truth has never been in him. We want to take our youth, our children, our youth. We want to prevent these destructive patterns. And if they get caught in a tailspin of suicidal thoughts or self-harm, or thinking that a noose is an answer, we want to take them on a path from destruction to dignity. When this podcast, we want to put, I want you to remember this number, 1-800-273-TALK. That's the Suicide Prevention Lifeline. There's a website, www.suicidepreventionlifeline.org, www.suicidepreventionlifeline.org. And there's a suicide hotline. They're trained. They know what they're doing. 1-800-273-TALK. That's 1-800-273-8255. We want to take our children and youth, preventing destruction. But if they get tangled up, we want to be able to pull them out. We got to be there for those babies. God loves them. I love you. And God loves you more than I do. Thank you so much for coming. I care. God cares. And I know you care too. We've got to reach these children and youth. The enemy has a plan, but God's plan is powerful. Let's be there for him. I bless you. I speak life over you and over your family and over your children. Good night.
We are God empowered. Strength is ours. Liberty, been set free. Education, affirmation, dedication, information, revelation.